All right, board. Now we're at item number 11 on the agenda. So board members, give me just 1 quick second. I think what I want to start with is with the committee report, but let me start off by redefining once again. I am excited, I'm very pleased to see committees working, and I'm excited, even more excited to know that our board members want to work in the committees and that they're taking the effort to study and to do more, and I think that we've been quite busy. This year, I was very pleased that we made some changes, and Ms. Butler is out of the room, but I wanted to say thank you so very much. She sent out those documents to the committee, so we need to go ahead and review those. And I'm pretty sure that's on your,
it'll be our committee.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want you to let the board be aware, because that information did not come to you in board notes, but Mr. Moreno and Ms. Butler did send all of the notes and everything that we collected last year on the superintendent evaluation. So I'm going to ask Ms. P, you want to go ahead and talk about the superintendent evaluation?
I'm not going to talk much because we talked about it a little bit last time, and I see you looking at me, Mr. Moreno. I will remember.
You should remember the first one.
Sorry.
Can you hear me?
I gave this document out at the workshop on March 5th. And if you weren't there, it should be in your box. Has everybody gotten the document that I put in everybody's box? Or I gave it to Jessica to give to everyone. If you'll look at the timeline, you'll notice we're a little bit behind. So if y'all could go over this, and I know it's a lengthy document, but a lot of it's repetitive. If you would go through this and mark comments and suggestions and questions that you have, then the committee can move forward with this work on creating a final document. It is very prescriptive, but part of what I would like us to keep the board accountable is to make sure that we're following a process and not just flying by the seat of our pants and doing this. So I'm hoping to bring this to the April 16th board meeting after committee looks at it and looks at the suggestions for a vote on whether to proceed with this. Rick wanted me to point out that in creating this document, I researched evaluation documents from the Texas Association of School Boards, from Dallas Independent School District, from Fort Worth Independent School District, I can't remember, is it Lubbock and the Panhandle, and several other school districts to see what their instruments look like. I also looked at our commitments that we made toward our vision and statements and core beliefs in the statements, and also, as we agreed, tried to look at it through the lens of equity to make sure that we were creating a document that was usable and fair. And it was a lengthy process to do that research, but I don't mind because it needs to be right. And so if anybody has had an opportunity to look at it, please submit your questions to me tonight. And if not, and I'm going to close my eyes when I say this because I don't want to see your faces. If I can have it back this week, it would be most helpful. Okay.
So let me add some quick notes. I asked, and I'm glad you're back in the room, Ms. Butler. I shared while you were out that I really appreciate all of the documents that you made sure that we received when you were the chair of the committee and helping us to get to that process. And we began working on some of the processes, but we didn't nail them down. I appreciate as well some of that thought that was put into place here. I'm going to apologize to both of you as committee chairs, because when I asked you guys to do this, I did not specify exactly what I expected. So let me say at this point, I do expect that we have a new instrument. That was number one. We all talked about we did not like the previous instrument. And Ms. Moreno and I have worked for years and years saying the instrument was just that. It had no real value, so to speak. So I'm appreciative of the instrument that we have. The other thing that I neglected to add, and Ms. Butler and Ms. Moreno, you remember when we had our meetings, one of the issues was we're doing this at this moment in time as we're approaching that evaluation period. Looking at the instrument is about kind of the past, but looking at what the goals are and the things that we would like to put in place for the future, you have to kind of work dual in that role. That was the piece that I forgot to share, and that came out in our committee meetings, that we need to look at what we're doing now, because you cannot change an instrument on an individual in the middle of that evaluation period. So with all of the brain power that you put into this document, while the board members are reviewing this, I'm going to ask that we begin also getting information on what it is that we would like to have added as that appendix in the evaluation. Am I more clear what it is? Okay. The other thing I wanted the board members to realize as you're reviewing this, and I think Ms. Key, if I'm incorrect, let me know, as you're reviewing this document, it is just an instrument change. The items that are listed in the document are not unchanged from what we've already agreed with Mr. Chambers.
There are some highlighted points that are different that will not be included in the evaluation, but are my suggestions for something we add for next year, along with what other people want to do. And it is populated, the different domains are populated with items that are on the current evaluation instrument. And I also want to point out that since we're a team of 8, you got a copy of this, correct? I also want your feedback and comments on it.
And I think that on the previous meeting, before you brought to us, you said that we had already had that conversation.
Yes, and he was comfortable with using the instrument, and he didn't say it, but it's my belief that we should stick to what he was currently accountable for and not add anything new.
So that is accountability. And that's what I want to make very, very clear to the board, that these are not brand new items in here. So don't think, oh my God, I have a new thing that I need to read. They are just placed in different areas.
They're grouped.
They're grouped in different areas. So I'm going to ask board to please take note of this. In using this instrument, the way that the information is calculated is going to be different than what it was last year. So use some thought. So when you're looking at this, you're not just looking at the items to see, what's changed, but you're not looking at just the content that's inside of it, but how the tool will be used as far as for grading. So be very conscious of that.
And I want to say at the last committee meeting, you suggested that some of the math was more than what people were accustomed to. So I'm going to give permission to work with somebody from the accounting department to help me set up a spreadsheet that will do it automatically. If they put in their score, I don't see Deanna. Can you pass the message?
Well, typically that's my
that's your area.
No. That's my survey person sitting in the back.
Patrick.
But she can create an Excel spreadsheet that will, what are they called?
It will sum up the factor.
What?
Auto sum the factor.
Well, not just auto sum, but it's an algorithm that goes in the thing that will pull a number from here and here.
Oh, pivot chart.
She knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We'll get it figured out, but we need to have
But that will simplify.
Absolutely, because the process has always been, and let me go ahead and share, the process has always been that all of the information and data is, even though we have a committee in place, let me make very, very clear in public, the committee goal and role is changing the evaluation, collecting the information for deciding on what we're going to put for that appendix. Is it A or D? Appendix A. That's the goal and role.
And it's populated with information from this year right now.
Right. But the way that our operating system and the policy, the way that we've done it, this information is always collected and sent to one single member. It doesn't even come to the president. It goes directly to the secretary. So once the secretary receives all of the data information, she brings it to the board.
Is there any rule restricting that I sit with her? Because it's new to show her what was in my thinking.
And that would be wonderful. I mean, you're the assistant secretary.
I love it.
And
No
I hope,
problem.
with last year unable to leave that backup in place. So that's not a problem. Here's another thing that I like to bring forward, board. I like to call your attention to the items listed, and they're not page number. So I'm going to actually go to your third, 1, 2, 3, 4th page. 4th page on the top where it says May. Please be aware we have talked numerous times, Mr. Moreno and I, for the last 5 years, have asked for something like this to happen. Last year we made the commitment to do it, and for whatever reason it falls off. At the top where it says May, we're talking about a beginning of the evaluation. Remember, we do not want it to be a one-time event or a gotcha at the end. We want to have conversations with the superintendent along the way. So I want to make you aware that Ms. Key put the information in there as to when these conversations should be happening. I only made one suggestion to Ms. Key, and that was at the August, instead of it being August, to maybe push it, did I say September or October, because of the things that are going on. If we're deciding to have those conversations along the way, we're probably going to have to put something in place in our operating system how that happens, because we don't want to rush it to be a 15-minute conversation or a 30-minute conversation. But as you can see, where we are now, if we were to do that at this time of night, I need people to be committed, whether I'm board president or not. As a board member, we need to be committed if we're going to sit and have conversation quarterly. I mean, that's what happened with employees along the way, and we would like to see that. So be very conscious. I think Ms. Key, I was kind of pushing back on, wait a minute, we can't do it at these certain times because there are certain things that goes on in the district by calendar. So be very, very conscious of that. Yes, we can have those conversations on the board workshop. We just need to be very conscious about what's on the calendar when that's going on. Okay. The other thing that I'd like to point out that Ms. Key added, and I'm going to give a great apology publicly, she suggested a protocol to be put in place. In the beginning, I did not understand what it was that she was requesting, but I would like for you all, where's the protocol is listed?
It's after the,
Where's it? Page 1 at the
where it says
bottom.
page 1, but a lot of them say page 1.
Okay.
At the first page 1.
The first page?
Yes.
Okay, so let's consider the first page 1, consider the general protocols. In the years past, Mr. Moreno and I have spent 4 hours, 8 hours, and it was not a good feeling to have the board stay long hours. It left a bad impression, I will say that, and it was just the fact that I felt like we had brand new board members, and I think we had a good conversation out of it. I think because of that, we are where we are now.
Yeah, at that situation, I know, I have friends I used to staff licensing concerns, like, y'all met so long with them, what's going on? Are y'all about to can them or get rid of them or whatever the thoughts were? But it wasn't. It was in the past, we spent 3 days, 4 hours each day doing it, and by the time we got to about 11 o'clock, we're like, what the heck, let's just stay and get it done with, and we ended up staying until, I know some people had an event the next day, it was a great opening for the CTE, had it at 6, we left at 5, it was just, had to get it done. Just didn't want to have to do it. So it worked out, and I think it's a team of 8 to get that initial basic to look at that. I want to make a comment about this packet of information. I think it's extraordinary work. I'm looking forward to us perfecting it, looking at it, working at it, because we have people from around the state that do not have a program, a tool like this. Our current tool is actually, I think, HD, you created it, and I think I talked to him a few weeks back, and he says he gets calls every day from districts looking for a tool, and that's what we have provided them, that tool. But this is, I think, is going to be just so over the top. Great, and it leads to not just that one evaluation and discussion. It's going to lead to 3 more discussions throughout the year. That's, I think, to me, more meaningful of the team of 8 discussions of where we're moving and where we're going each time, especially if new board members come on in November or the following 2 years or whenever that comes out. But I think it's a good conversation. looking forward to the conversation with Steve.
Thank you. Think we'll take it on the road to Tasby?
I think so.
Once
I think
we
we
work
can.
out all the knots.
One other thing that I would like to point the board's attention to is Appendix A worksheet, and it's towards the back, Appendix A worksheet.
It's the last
It's
page.
the last section.
This is just the metrics, it's not the worksheet.
Police board. So, board, I also had, Ms. Carmelita at the last minute, thank you so very much, to print out a document in which we did an overview. We remember we had a team of 8 with CRSS, and they brought an instrument that would be very, very helpful. So what I would like, and I would suggest, the Appendix A kind of resembles something like this, where an actual goal or specific, not, I know that when we have the meetings and we have conversation, about 10 or 20 different items fall out, but I think as well as we try to work down to what was the 3 top things that we expected. So I would like to see the 3 top things to be put in this kind of format. So
I
it would
don't
be
think
very.
tying it to the core commitments is important.
Absolutely, but putting it in that format where, absolutely, you guys see this? Okay. So putting it in that format with,
Is this the whole document? Because I'm looking at the page numbers and it says-
remember, this was just an overview from CRSS from our training. It was a suggestion, so it was just they did not give it that.
We got it in an email though, so we have the complete document.
Okay, so she said it's in the email. So remember, it was in the folder that looked like that, and that's all that she gave.
I think you included it in board notes as an addition.
So if we can take that and send that again to the put it in another board notes. Okay. All right. Anything else, Ms. Katie? I think I pointed out about 5 different things, and that was you said the timeline. Everyone would have a timeline, which we're trying to maintain to get this done. The goal is to make sure that the instrument is in place and is approved by the board, so that we can complete the evaluation for this year. But in addition to that, I've asked that we go ahead and begin looking at the goals that are going to be set for 2019-2020.
And one of the things that I asked Mr. Chambers when I was meeting with him regarding this was to deliver a state of the district presentation. And I know that we've seen that in other districts, and it's never been done in A-League.
Because sometimes board presidents wants to deliver a state of the district.
Maybe we should have a state of the district from both of you.
Absolutely. Okay.
And I was just thinking more from the data standpoint of our performance and that kind of thing. And also as a time, because the next meeting we have after that will be the board workshop where we do the evaluation, that we can get the notebooks. Is that an unreasonable timeline to get those notebooks together for documentation of the initiatives that have been done?
After the April board meeting?
April 16th. That's coming up fast.
Yeah.
Can we keep-
Some of it's already built into the retreat information. We just have to update the retreat information.
And one of the things we talked about too is making sure that there's not additional information in there that's not relevant to the evaluation instrument, and save those other informations which are important for like presentations during the board when people are presenting about their departments and programs.
So
In order to do that, I just need to know that y'all are going to approve something that resembles what you have. I mean, we can start pulling that together now, because
Right.
typically we've already started doing that. We have not started doing it because
It's changing.
it's changing. So,
Yeah.
but the indicators, most of them are the same.
Right.
So I don't.
and the content that you would provide is pretty much going to be the same because there have been no changes.
Yeah, I don't think Ava or Ava. I don't think that's going to be as big a.
As long as I can get the.
Yeah, we just need to know. I just need to know. I think we'll be okay.
Okay. And that's adjustable after we
Right.
look at it a little bit more, because the information was all there. finding that sometimes amidst stuff that wasn't relevant to the evaluation was a little bit challenging.
So I was going to share with that we participated with the state of the districts when Fort Bend used to do it with the 3 superintendents when they did it for the business entities. Remember, Stafford, Fort Bend, Katy, but typically when they did the state of the districts, they did them collectively. But
Yeah, I did a couple with Fort Bend, but it was, Lamar Consolidated, Fort Bend ourselves, but not specifically for AD, that's correct.
okay, but it's a thought and it's an additive. So, board, as we talk about and detail this document, if there's anything that you're not clear on, have questions about,
Not comfortable with.
please send an email. You can either email Ms. Keith or myself, or you can send it to Mr. Chambers so that you can go out and board notes to everyone. Okay, that way we are keeping with them.
Yeah. I prefer board notes too, because then everybody knows the process of the thinking of it.
Absolutely, but what I'm saying is, as far as questions, if the questions come through, you're the committee chair, they are free to communicate that information to you.
Send it on to Mr.
Absolutely,
Chambers.
and the way it goes out to the board is through the board notes. Is there anything else on that?
I know I'm forgetting something, but as you read through it and you have questions, text me or call me or email me.
Deadline is by the end of this week.
Right, the deadline to get your feedback is by the end of this week, because we want to get back on the timeline, and you'll receive communication in board notes on where we stand, if there's any adjustments. Okay. Ms. Brown.
Yes,